It's just incredible how fast everything seems to be moving these days, isn't it?
It really is.
Trying to keep track, across tech, business, health. It honestly feels like a full-time job sometimes.
Yeah, information overload is real.
And you just want the important bits, the insights that, click without getting totally buried.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do here. We've sifted through a bunch of recent news research snippets across AI, cybersecurity, business, health, even some cool innovation stories. The idea is to pull out the key stuff for you.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Artificial intelligence feels like the obvious place to start. It changes practically daily.
Definitely. So Google's just announced VO3, their AI video generator.
Right, and the big thing seems to be synchronized audio, making the sound match the picture.
Yeah, that's a pretty major leap, actually. Getting AI video and audio in sync has been, well, tricky.
So this suggests the AI understands the content better.
Sort of, yeah. More integrated understanding, but there's a funny catch. Apparently, if you ask it for someone eating spaghetti, the sound it generates is crunchy.
Crunchy spaghetti. Okay, maybe not quite perfect yet.
Needs a bit more fine-tuning on the audio realism, it seems.
But still, interesting progress. And
Yeah.
speaking of AI progress, we're seeing these models split into tiers now, like Claude 4.
Yes, Claude 4, you've got Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus.
What's the difference there?
Well, it's a trade-off.
Hmm.
Speed, cost, and what they call context depth.
Context depth.
Yeah, basically how much information the model can keep track of during a conversation or task. Haiku's faster, cheaper, good for simple stuff.
Okay.
But Opus, the bigger one, has more context depth. It's better for, like, really complex logic or remembering details from earlier in a long prompt.
Ah, I see. So different tools for different jobs, essentially.
Exactly.
And these tools are getting more integrated too, right? ChatGPT Deep Research can now pull from Dropbox and Box.
Yeah, that's a significant step for workflow, directly accessing your files.
Makes it much more seamless.
Right. Less friction to get AI insights from your own stuff.
No.
And OpenAI is hinting at something interesting for ChatGPT by 2026.
Woo, intriguing. Wonder what that could be.
We'll have to wait and see. But it points to more integration, more capabilities.
No doubt. And you just need to look at upcoming events like Disrupt 2025, focusing on the AI native enterprise.
Everyone's figuring out how to build AI in.
Definitely feels central. Okay, let's shift gears, though, to something maybe a bit more concerning, cybersecurity.
A growing worry is malicious software packages sneaking into the software we rely on, the supply chain.
Right, these aren't viruses and emails. This is code developers might use.
Exactly. Packages found in places like NPM, which is for JavaScript, or VS Code extensions. Developers often trust these repositories.
And how do these malicious ones work? It sounds pretty sneaky.
It is. They often use scripts that run the moment you install the package. Install time scripts.
Okay.
And get this, they're clever enough to check if they're running in a test environment, a sandbox.
Like a safe zone for testing code.
Right. And if they detect they're in an Amazon or Google sandbox, they can basically lie low to avoid detection.
Wow. And then what? Still data.
Yep. Data, cryptocurrency. Sometimes sending it out using Discord webhooks, which are usually for notifications.
How widespread is this?
Well, one report found up to 60 malicious NPM packages just recently.
60? That's a lot.
It really is. And that's sophistication, avoiding sandboxes. It shows intent. The total across various places was over 70 malicious packages found. It highlights a real vulnerability.
Definitely makes you think twice about pulling in third-party code.
Yeah.
And it's not just active software, is it? Even getting rid of old computers is a risk.
Absolutely. IT asset disposition, or ITAD. It's crucial.
It's data escape.
Precisely. That old data is still there, still vulnerable. Good ITAD providers have strict processes. They track every device, find all the drives.
Even hidden ones.
Even hidden ones. Then they securely wipe the data or physically destroy the drives.
So it creates a secure chain, even after the hardware is done?
Exactly. A proper chain of custody, ensuring that sensitive info doesn't walk out the door when you retire equipment.
Makes total sense. Okay, another shift. Let's look at the business world, specifically some companies under the microscope.
Right. Like Shein, the huge online fashion retailer. The EU is investigating them.
What for?
Alleged illegal stuff. Things like fake discounts, making prices seem lower than they were, and pressure selling tactics.
Pushing urgency. And they have to respond quickly.
Yeah, about a month. Or they could face some hefty fines. It shows regulators are trying to keep up with global e-commerce.
Making sure big international players follow local rules.
Exactly. Consumer protection standards.
And it's not just new giants. We also saw, finally, some serious consequences for the Volkswagen emissions scandal.
Yes, 4 former VW executives actually sentenced to prison time.
That must have sent ripples through the European car market and really hurt diesel's image.
Oh, absolutely. Huge impact, financially, legally, but also public trust. It definitely accelerated the shift towards EVs in Europe.
Then you've got this kind of clash of perspectives on U.S. chip policy.
Yeah, interesting contrast. The head of NVIDIA basically called the export restrictions to China a failure, saying it backfired.
Backfired how?
Sort of pushed China to develop its own tech faster, maybe, while hurting U.S. competitiveness.
Okay, but at the same time.
At the same time, you have Napa Valley winemakers worried. Worried that potential tariffs could hike up costs for essential things they import.
Like corks and oak barrels.
Exactly. Things you might not immediately connect to chip policy.
Wow. It just shows how interconnected everything is. Global trade, tech policy, winemaking.
It really does. Complex web. National security versus economics. Broad policies hitting specific sectors hard.
Okay, let's move to something a bit more uplifting. Ingenuity, resourcefulness.
Yes, some great stories here. Like Mansukh Prajapati and his MIDI-cool fridge.
This is brilliant. A fridge made of clay needs no electricity.
Exactly. Born out of necessity after an earthquake disrupted power. It keeps food fresh using evaporative cooling.
And it's affordable.
Very. Around 95 US. They're selling it in hundreds of stores in India, even exporting to the UK, Kenya, UAE.
That's fantastic. It's an example of what they call frugal innovation.
Precisely. Creating effective, affordable solutions using local resources. There are groups like the Honeybee Network that champion this kind of grassroots invention. It solves real problems.
Like food preservation without reliable electricity.
Right. And there are other examples too.
Yeah, like sustainable textiles from waste lotus stems by Bija Shanti Tangram.
Incredible. And a smart farming stick being developed for visually impaired farmers.
It's just really inspiring seeing people find clever solutions, often sustainably.
It really shows that human capacity for innovation, often doing more with less, and focusing on inclusivity too.
Now, switching to something maybe more personal, our health, grip strength.
Yeah, it sounds simple, right? How hard you can squeeze.
But apparently it's a surprisingly good indicator of overall health and even longevity.
That's what the research is showing more and more. It's a reliable marker.
How do you even measure it? Do you need special equipment?
Ideally, yes. A device called a dynamometer gives you a precise reading. But you can get a rough idea even with, say, a tennis ball.
Just squeezing a tennis ball.
Yeah. Can you maintain a good, strong squeeze for maybe 15 to 30 seconds? That's seen as a decent standard.
So if you find that difficult, it might be a sign of something.
Could be. Lower grip strength has been linked to accelerated biological aging. They can see it in changes to DNA methylation patterns.
Wow, that's specific.
And it's also linked to conditions like cachexia muscle wasting in cancer patients, and generally a poorer prognosis for various illnesses.
That really puts a different perspective on just, hand strength.
It does. It reflects overall muscle health and physiological resilience. Frailty often shows up there early.
Is there anything you can do about it?
Oh, absolutely. The good news is it's trainable. General physical activity helps, but also specific resistance exercises. Things like wrist curls, bicep curls, anything that challenges your grip.
Okay, good to know. Maybe time to dust off those hand grippers. All right, let's talk society for a bit. Shifting norms.
One observation was about the social challenges men can face if they aren't the primary earner in a household.
Right. The traditional provider role is still pretty ingrained, isn't it?
It seems so. And unfortunately, that can lead to judgment. The piece mentioned some pretty harsh terms used, like feminine dude or even house bitch.
Ouch. That's rough. Affects self-esteem, surely.
Definitely. And there was even research mentioned that suggested a possible link.
Between what?
Between wives earning more than their male partners and potentially higher rates of mental health diagnoses in those men.
Really? That's significant. Suggests these shifting roles, while positive in many ways, can also cause stress.
It can, navigating those changes in perception.
If there's a counterpoint, right. Sweden.
Yes, the example of incentivized paternity leave in Sweden. It seems to have had a really positive effect.
How so?
Better marital stability, and it helps normalize men's active roles in childcare and family life.
So when the system, the policies, support more equal roles.
The outcomes tend to be better for everyone. It promotes a more balanced distribution of work and care.
That makes sense. Okay, final stretch, couple of quick tech updates. 3D printing.
Yeah, becoming much more accessible. The Bamboo Lab A1 was mentioned as an example.
Right. The printers themselves are getting easier, more affordable.
Definitely democratizing, making things, prototyping. But
There's still a learning curve.
yeah, especially with the software side. The slicer programs like Bamboo Studio, that's what turns your 3D model into instructions for the printer.
You need to understand things like layer height, infill.
Exactly. Those parameters affect the print quality and strength. So still some technical know-how needed to get the best results.
Gotcha. And finally, Mozilla making some changes.
Yeah, they're discontinuing Pocket, the Read It Later service, and FakeSpot, the review checker,
Why is that?
to focus their resources on developing new features for their main product, the Firefox browser.
Just shows how dynamic things are online. Even established services shift priorities or disappear.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Constant reassessment in a competitive market. Allocating resources to core strengths.
So, wow, we've covered a lot. AI, cybersecurity threats, business pressures, amazing innovations, health insights, social shifts.
It's quite a journey when you lay it all out.
Yeah,
And you really see the connections, don't you?
totally. The speed of change is one thing, but also how, say, a tech policy decision can ripple out and affect something seemingly unrelated like winemaking.
Exactly. These global trends are deeply interconnected. Tech breakthroughs change business, social shifts impact well-being.
Yeah.
It's all constantly interacting.
As you listen through all that, what were the moments that really made you go, aha, or maybe shifted your perspective a bit?
Yeah. How might these pieces influence how you look at the world tomorrow?
And here's a final thought to leave you with, considering everything we've discussed, all this rapid change.
What seemingly small trend that we touched on today do you think might actually have the biggest, most unforeseen impact down the road? Could it be the AI integration, the supply chain vulnerabilities, maybe even something like grip strength becoming a mainstream health metric?
And maybe more importantly, how will your own adaptability, your ability to keep learning and connecting these dots, play a role in navigating whatever comes next?
Definitely something to mull over.